Perhaps you have often wondered why you have tried so hard, yet your life remains unchanged. You read books, watch inspiring videos, set new goals, and promise yourself that this time will be different. Yet a few days later, everything returns to the way it was. It's not because you are incompetent. It's because you are fixing the wrong problem in the wrong place. Consider two people facing the same event, the same failure, the same loss. Both were pushed into a difficult position by life. One breaks down, blames the circumstances, blames others, and slowly lives in bitterness and stagnation. The other remains silent, looks directly at the truth, adjusts themselves, and gradually rebuilds their life from the ruins. The same situation, but completely different outcomes. What creates that difference? Not life itself, but the mind. Stoicism clearly articulated this thousands of years ago. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you perceive and react to it. When your mind is chaotic, your life is also chaotic. When your mind is weak, every event becomes a burden. But when you fix your mind, life becomes clear and manageable. Stoic journey is created for those who are cultivating inner strength and self-discipline and want to live more firmly every day. If you are on that path, you can subscribe to the channel to join this journey. This video is not created to make you feel comfortable, nor is it intended to reassure you that everything will be all right. This is a straightforward reminder dedicated to those who are tired of being stuck, of living habitually, of repeating the same vicious cycle year after year. If you are looking for a real way out, you need to start with your own mindset. Today, we will go through 8 core Stoic rules, not to preach philosophy, but for practical application. Each rule is a step in adjusting the mind, a cut into the habits and reactions that are quietly dragging you down. No need for temporary motivation. Only self-honesty is required. If these things are resonating with you, stay until the end, because the rules ahead are not created for entertainment, but to challenge the way you are currently living. When you fix your mind, your life, whether you want it to or not, will change. Now, let's begin with the first rule. Number 1. Stop compromising with your weakness. There is a form of failure more dangerous than collapsing in the face of adversity. That is, when you clearly know your weakness, but still choose to ignore it. It's not because you don't see the problem, but because compromising is always more comfortable than confronting. You tell yourself that you will change when you have time, when you're in a better mood, or when things are better. And precisely in those moments of procrastination, weakness is nourished every day. Weakness doesn't destroy you in a single moment. It erodes you slowly through very small decisions, sleeping in a little longer, skipping a difficult task, or allowing yourself to repeat a habit you clearly know is pulling you down. Every time you yield, you are not just postponing action, you are training your mind to get used to quitting without consequence. The Stoics do not view weakness as something shameful. What they are wary of is making peace with it. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "If you were born to live as a rational human being, then betraying that capacity is unacceptable. No one demands that you be perfect, but you have a responsibility not to aid your own deterioration." Be honest with yourself for a moment. In those times when you clearly know what you need to do but choose not to do it, what stops you? Not the circumstances, not other people, but the desire for immediate comfort. You cannot become a better version of yourself if you keep giving in every time life gets hard. Stopping the compromise with weakness does not mean becoming harsh. It means stopping lying to yourself. It's when you see yourself about to avoid something that you stop. When you are about to make an excuse, you stay silent. When you want to choose the easy path, you remember. Every time you yield, you are casting a vote for the weaker version of yourself. Epictetus once said, "No one can make you weaker without your permission." Weakness only persists when you continuously give it the power to decide. The moment you retract that power, even with a small action, the balance begins to shift. So, start today. No need to change your whole life, just one clear decision. Weakness is no longer your refuge. Every time you choose to do the right thing instead of the easy thing, you are fixing your mind. And when the mind begins to be fixed, your life will no longer follow the old inertia. This is the first step. And it is also the step that most people never dare to take. Number 2, control your reactions or be controlled. There is a truth few are willing to face. You are not defeated by circumstances, but by your own reactions. The event itself lasts only a moment, but your reaction can persist for hours or even days. A casual remark, an unsatisfactory result, or a disrespectful glance, these things alone do not have the power to destroy you. What exhausts you is the wave of emotion you create. Most people live as if reaction is inevitable. They get angry before they think. They speak before they regret. They let emotions lead, then reassure themselves, "I'm just reacting instinctively." But in the Stoic spirit, that is not instinct. It is an unchecked habit, and any unchecked habit, sooner or later, will take control of you. Epictetus stated very clearly, "It is not events that cause you distress, but your judgment about them." There is always a gap between the event and the reaction. That gap may be very brief, but it is the only place where you truly have the power of choice. Stoics do not try to eliminate emotions. They simply learn how not to hand over the power of decision to those emotions. Observe yourself in familiar situations. When someone annoys you, when a plan is disrupted, when you feel disrespected, what is your first reaction? Defensiveness? Hot temper? Bitter silence? Every impulsive reaction reveals one thing. You reacted before you could be fully aware, and in that moment, control is no longer in your hands. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "You can choose not to allow your mind to be dragged away by external things, not by escaping, but by observing your reactions like an outsider. When you can do that, anger is no longer a command, worry is no longer a truth, and an insult is no longer a verdict." Mastering reactions does not mean becoming cold. It means being one beat slower than your emotion. One beat is enough for you to maintain clarity. Starting today, practice a simple but difficult thing. Don't react immediately. When emotions rise, treat them as a signal, not a command. Take a breath, observe, and ask yourself, is this reaction serving me, or is it controlling me? That question, if repeated often enough, will fix the way your mind operates. You cannot control everything that happens, but if you don't control your reactions, you will always be at the mercy of others, and no freedom exists in that state. Number 3, the obstacle is the training. There will be phases when things don't go as you want. Plans fall apart, efforts go unrecognized, relationships fracture. You try your best, but the results still disappoint you. In those moments, the natural human reaction is resistance, asking why this is happening to me, why life is so unfair. But it is that very thought that is quietly eroding you. It makes you believe that progress only comes when circumstances are favorable, and that you can only be strong when you are not challenged. And that is a dangerous illusion. Stoicism views adversity in a completely different way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path." This means that no strength is formed in comfort, no resilience grows in the safe zone. Adversity does not come to teach you a gentle lesson. It comes to test how you react when things don't go your way. When encountering difficulty, you can choose to complain, avoid, or blame. But you can also choose to look straight at the circumstance and ask, what kind of person is this situation demanding I become? The moment you ask that question, you have stepped out of the victim role. Epictetus once said that circumstances do not make the man. How we perceive circumstances is what truly determines it. Two people can go through the same adversity. One becomes bitter. The other becomes wiser and more resilient. The difference lies not in the degree of pain, but in the attitude of confrontation. Every time you face a challenge, you have an opportunity to train discipline, train patience, and train the ability to stand firm when nothing is guaranteed. Those are skills that cannot be learned in ideal conditions. Starting today, try changing how you view the things that are tiring you out. Don't ask how to escape them fastest. Ask, how do I need to walk through this correctly? When you approach adversity with that spirit, you are not just overcoming difficulty, you are retraining yourself. And then you will understand. Life is not against you. It is training you.
Number 4, remove distractions. Protect your focus. If you cannot control your focus, no matter how much discipline or willpower you have, you are still fighting at a disadvantage. Because when energy is constantly drawn away, a scattered mind cannot build anything sustainable. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us to be wary of what occupies our minds, because it is precisely those things that will shape the person you become. The Stoics clearly understood this. Focus is not just a skill, but an inner discipline. When you allow your attention to be controlled by trivial matters, you are handing over the power to decide your life to something undeserving. Observe your day. How many times are you interrupted while doing important work? How many times do you switch directions just because of a small, more pleasant stimulus? Those distractions are not harmless. They train your mind to get used to quitting halfway, used to the feeling of not finished, but it's okay. Over time, you lose your own standard. A person living in the Stoic spirit does not try to control everything around them. They do something much simpler. They choose what is worthy of attention. Not every piece of news needs to be followed. Not every conversation needs participation. Not every thought needs a reaction. When you learn to refuse unnecessary things, you are creating space for clarity to return. Removing distractions does not mean escaping. It means setting boundaries for the mind. Do one thing for a dedicated period of time. No multitasking, no constant switching. Accept the initial discomfort when you are no longer frequently stimulated. It is in that discomfort that your ability to focus is retrained. Starting today, dedicate a short period of time to work without interruption. No phone, no notifications, just you and what needs to be done. Don't look for immediate efficiency. Look for complete presence. When you protect your attention, you will realize focus not only helps you work better, it helps you live more clearly. And the person who masters focus will, sooner or later, master themselves. Number 5, stop seeking approval.
Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." He wrote this to remind himself that the moment you need approval to do what is right, you have begun to live by someone else's standard, rather than your own. There is a form of dependence that many people do not realize, living according to the gaze of the crowd. You adjust your words to be liked more. You weigh your actions to avoid judgment. You hesitate to do what you know is right just for fear of offending. And gradually, your life is no longer guided by inner values, but by the desire for external approval. In the Stoic spirit,
Value does not come from praise or consensus. It comes from inner integrity, the ability to live according to what you believe is right, even when no one supports you. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good person should be like. Be one." Look back at your recent choices. How many decisions were made just to keep the peace? How many times did you stay silent when you should have spoken up? Each time, you are not just abandoning your voice, you are training your mind to become dependent. Over time, you are no longer sure what you truly think because every thought has been filtered through the reactions of others. Epictetus stated directly, "If you want to be free, do not put your happiness in the hands of others." Approval is beyond your control, but your character is not. Stoics do not live to please. They live to not betray themselves. Starting today, try a different standard. Before acting, don't ask, "What will they think?" Ask, "Is this true to my values?" Initially, you will feel uncomfortable. Perhaps some people won't understand you. Maybe some people will leave. But in return, you reclaim something much more important: inner resilience. When you stop seeking approval, you do not become isolated. You become free. And only when you are free from the gaze of others can you truly live by your own choices. Number 6, take absolute responsibility. There is a moment that everyone must face sooner or later, when you realize there is no one else to blame. No circumstance, no past, no person stands between you and the life you are living. That moment is not comfortable, but it is the starting point of true change. Most people are stuck not due to a lack of knowledge, but because they continuously push responsibility outward. They believe that if the conditions were better, if others behaved differently, if the past were not so, their lives would have taken a different turn. Perhaps those things are true. But in the Stoic spirit, as long as you place the power of control in the hands of external things, you are not truly living your own life. Epictetus once said, "Don't wish that things happen as you want them to. Learn to want them to happen as they are." This statement forces you to look squarely at reality. You cannot control the circumstances, but you are always responsible for how you react to them. Taking responsibility does not mean self-blame or self-torment. It means stopping the search for external causes for things you can adjust from within. When you acknowledge your part of the responsibility, you are not making yourself weaker. You are reclaiming the power of decision. Because only the things that belong to you can you change. Look at your current life, the job you are doing, the relationships you are maintaining, the habits you repeat every day. There may be things that leave you dissatisfied, even disappointed. But instead of turning to find a reason to complain, the Stoics choose to look back at themselves. The Stoics understand that responsibility is the price of freedom. You cannot demand the right to master your life if you are not willing to bear the accompanying responsibility. Starting today, adopt a simple but radical attitude. When facing difficulty, don't rush to complain. When making a mistake, don't justify. When the result is unsatisfactory, don't blame. Adjust. Raise your own standard. No fanfare, no need for witnesses. When you take absolute responsibility for your life, you no longer wait for the perfect circumstance to move forward. You become the navigator instead of the reactor. And that is when you truly step into the position of a free person. Number 7, discipline over motivation. Motivation is what gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. Most people fail not because they lack inspiration, but because they place their trust in the wrong place. They wait until they feel ready to act. And while they wait, life continues to pass them by. Motivation always comes and goes. It depends on emotion, circumstances, and factors you cannot control. Some days you are full of energy. Some days you are exhausted, doubtful, and disoriented. If your actions depend on that state, you will live in an erratic rhythm, and anything unstable cannot create sustainable strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do what needs to be done, whether you like it or not because it's pleasant, but because it is the duty of a rational human being." Discipline, in the Stoic spirit, is not harsh compulsion. It is a commitment to yourself, doing the right thing even when no one is watching, even when there is no inspiration. Be honest with yourself. How many tasks do you know need to be done, yet you postpone simply because "I'm not in the mood today"? Every time you do that, you are not just postponing action. You are teaching your mind that emotion has the right to command. And when emotion becomes the guide, discipline has no place. A person who lives by discipline does not wait for motivation. They create a routine that is independent of feeling. They work even when they don't feel inspired. They train even when they don't want to. Not because they are emotionless, but because they understand that freedom comes from consistency, not from momentary feelings. Epictetus once said, "First, decide who you want to become. Then, do what is necessary to become that person." Discipline is the bridge between intention and identity. Every small action repeated at the right time reinforces the image you have of yourself. Starting today, change one very specific thing. Don't ask, "Do I have the motivation to do that?" Ask, "What needs to be done right now?" When you prioritize discipline over motivation, you don't lose your emotions, you put them in their proper place. And from that point on, your life is no longer led by fleeting urges, but by a will that is trained every day. Number 8. Live by action, not thought. Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius wrote this quote not for contemplation, but to compel himself to action. Because he understood a very simple truth. Thoughts do not change your life. Action does. Thinking is easy. Imagining is easy. Dreaming of becoming more disciplined, stronger, or wiser is also very easy. You might understand perfectly what you need to do, read a lot of philosophy, and speak eloquently about life values. But all of that, if it only exists in your head, carries no weight. The Stoics do not view philosophy as something to speak correctly, but as something to live correctly. They don't just talk about self-control, they practice it in silence, even when no one is watching. That is the harmony between what you believe and how you live. The problem is most people live two lives. One life in the mind, where they are clear, wise, and full of goals, and one life in reality, where they procrastinate, justify, and react emotionally. They say they want peace, but they complain endlessly. They say they want to grow, but they avoid difficult things. They say they want to be resilient, but they live as slaves to their moods. Here is the hard truth. What you say doesn't matter. What you do matters. It is not a lack of knowledge you suffer from. It is a lack of consistency. Every day you act contrary to what you believe, you erode your own self-respect, and no beautiful saying can compensate for that. Living by action means letting your behavior speak for all your declarations. If you say you value discipline, prove it by what you do when you lack motivation. If you say you value time, look at how you spend it. If you say you are resilient, observe your reaction when things go wrong. Don't pursue perfection. Pursue harmony. When your actions and your values align, you don't need to convince anyone. Your composure will speak for itself. And when your life becomes living proof of what you believe, you are no longer easily shaken. Because in the end, true strength lies not in deep thinking, but in a life lived true to what you know is right. After going through all these rules, perhaps the most important thing you realize is not a new technique or a smarter mindset. Nothing in this video has value if it only stops at understanding. Understanding doesn't save you. Good intentions don't save you. Only the way you live every day can do that. Stoicism was not created to make people feel better about themselves. It was created to make people live better, even if it's not comfortable. If, after this video, you return to your old habits, old reactions, and familiar justifications, then everything just said becomes meaningless. But if you choose to change the way you act, even in very small moments, even when no one knows, even when no one praises you, that is when the real process begins. The Stoics do not seek approval. They don't need the world to confirm that they are on the right track. They measure themselves by the consistency between what they believe and what they do. And that very consistency over time creates self-respect, something no words of encouragement can replace. From this moment forward, no philosopher is standing between you and your choices. There are no rules to invoke. There is only you and how you react to your life. You can continue to live in thought or begin to live by action. No one forces you, but no one is responsible for you either. If there is one rule among those you just heard that you are ready to apply today, turn it into action, even if it's a very small step. Leave it in the comments as a commitment, which rule you will apply and how you will start today. If you found this video valuable, please like and share it with a friend you think might need this. And if you choose to train yourself through action, not words, you can subscribe to the channel to join Stoic Journey. Here, we don't pursue temporary motivation. We build consistency, day by day, in silence.